Max, who's on Captain America, wins the die roll and starts us off. He draws, plays a tap Sacred Foundry, and passes. Mathieu, who's playing his Esika deck, draws and plays an Arctic Treeline. Arja, playing his Olivia Opulent Outlaw, draws for turn and plays a Verdant Catacombs. I'm playing my Niko deck, and I've got a Plains and a turn 1 land tax. Max draws and plays a Mountain, and then casts a Wayfarer's Bauble. Arja cracks his Verdant Catacombs in response and goes to find a land while Max passes. Mathieu draws and plays an Exotic Orchard, paying 2 for Into the North. He goes to find an Ice Tunnel and passes once it's out. Arja's turn has him playing an Isolated Chapel and then casting a Charitable Levy. He passes once that resolves. My upkeep has land tax triggering, and I find an island from it and draw. I play a Skycloud Expanse and then cast a Silent Hall Creeper. Max has a Sulphur Falls for turn and is enough mana for Captain America. Mathieu draws, plays a Mountain, and casts Yasharn. He goes into his library, grabbing a Forest and a Plains, and passing after that. Arja's main phase has an Iridescent Vine Lasher coming in, and he follows it up with a Temple of Silence, dealing 1 to Mathieu with the landfall trigger. He then scries 1, and passes once he resolves it. I draw for turn, and play a Plains, and go straight to combat. I hit Arja for 1 with the Hall Creeper, and use its ability to draw a card, and pass to Max. Max plays a tap Silver Bluff Bridge, and then casts a Conqueror's Flail. He pays the additional 1 to the levy, which has Arja putting a collection counter onto his enchantment. Going to combat, he gets to equip the flail into Captain America thanks to its ability, and he swings him at Mathieu for 7. Matt takes the hit, and after that, Max passes. Matt draws and plays a Plains, and has enough mana at this point to cast Bringer of the Red Dawn. With that, he passes turn. Arja draws and plays a Plains, sending 1 at Matt from the landfall trigger. He then casts Gonti, and as it comes in, targets Matt with the trigger, passing once it resolves. I get an island and a Plains for my land tax on my upkeep, drawing for turn after that. I cast Niko, who comes in and makes me 2 shard tokens. I then go to combat, and I swing the Hall Creeper at Arja for 1. This time around I pick the mode to put 2+1/+1 counters onto it, and I pass to Max after that. Max plays a Windswept Heath for turn, and casts a Sword of Body and Mind. He goes to combat. I take the hit, mill 10 cards, and Max gets to make a 2/2 Wolf token. Max passes after that. Mathieu takes the Silent Hall Creeper on his upkeep with the Bringer trigger, then draws for turn. He plays a Forest and goes to combat. He swings the Hall Creeper at Arja for 3, and Arja takes the hit. Mathieu makes the Hall Creeper a copy of the Bringer, and then casts the Prismatic Bridge. This is Arja's Charitable Levy cracking, and he goes to find a Godless Shrine, which, as it comes in, pings Mathieu for 1 with the Vine Lasher trigger. Arja's got an Esper Sentinel in his main phase, and still has enough mana to cast Olivia Opulent Outlaw. Once she resolves, he passes. I go find an island on my upkeep, and then take Matt's Bringer with my own Bringer trigger before drawing for turn. I then play a Plains, and I cast an Arcane Signet, paying the 1 for the Esper Sentinel trigger. I then activate Niko, bouncing Mathieu's Bringer. My shards become Bringers as well, and I swing them at Max for 10. He takes the hit, and I move to my end step, with the Bringer coming back under Mathieu's control as I pass the turn. Max draws, plays a Plains, and goes to combat. He swings Captain America at me once more, but I chump with my Hall Creeper, aka Bringer. After that, Max plays a Lion Sash, and passes turn. Mathieu reveals Sorin Grim Nemesis off the Prismatic Bridge trigger, and then steals Olivia with the Bringer trigger, and he draws for turn. He upticks Sorin, revealing a Burning Ruin Demon to drain us for 6. He then casts Coma Cosmo Serpent. Going to combat, Mathieu takes a certain satisfaction of hitting Arja with his commander for 3, and passes after that. I cast Rapid Hybridization on Coma during Arja's upkeep with his trigger on the stack, and it gets taken out, and Arja then draws. Arja then swings the Vine Lasher at me, and Olivia goes at Mathieu, and we both take the hits. Arja's second main phase then has him casting Nicol Bolas Dragon God from the Stolen Gonti card, and he downticks it on the Bringer of Red Dawn. After that, Arja passes. I find the full 3 lands from land tax on my upkeep and draw. I play an island and cast Restoration Angel, targeting Niko. and I activate Niko in response to the trigger. I exile the Restoration Angel, and then flicker Niko, making 2 shards as it comes in. My other cards become Restoration Angels, and I swing them at Soren for 6. I then pass, returning my original Restoration Angel to play, and flicker Niko again, making 2 more shards. Max draws and plays Otawara, and uses Captain America to fling the Sword of Body and Mind at Soren, Niko Bolas, and the Esper Sentinel, taking them all out. Going to combat, Captain America re-equips the sword to himself thanks to his ability, and Max sends him at me. I jump with the Restoration Angel, and with nothing else, Max passes. Mathieu gets a Consecrated Sphinx off the Prismatic Bridge trigger, putting it into play and drawing for turn. He plays a Burning Rune Demon, and tutors for a Realm Breaker and a Dovescape. He picks me, and I choose to give him the Realm Breaker. Mathieu then plays a Plains and passes. Arja draws for turn while Mathieu draws 2, and Arja plays a Mountain, dealing 1 to Mathieu. Arja then casts an Author of Shadows, and Max responds by eating Soren and Bolas out of graveyards with the Lion Sash. Arja decides to get Rapid Hybridization out of my graveyard, and uses it to destroy Yasharn. Arja then goes to combat, and Max cracks his way for his Bauble finally, with Arja swinging the Vine Lasher at Max as a thanks for getting rid of the Yasharn, and Olivia goes at me. We both take the hits, and Arja passes. I go and find more lands from land tax before drawing for turn. I play an island, but with not much else, pass. Max's turn has him playing Sword of Kaldra, and he moves it on to Captain America. Going to combat, Max swings Captain America at Mathieu, who chumps with a Burning Rune Demon. And after that, Max passes. Mathieu gets to put a Destiny Spinner into play from the Prismatic Bridge, and draws for turn. He plays a Forest, and then casts Wargate, putting 7 into the X. Arja responds with an Aven Interrupter, exiling the spell instead, and Mathieu then passes after that. Arja's turn has a Swamp coming in, and it deals 1 to Matt with the Vine Lasher. He then casts a Swashbuckler Extraordinaire, and he goes to combat. He swings Olivia at Mathieu and the Aven Interrupter at me, and with the on-attack trigger from the Swashbuckler, sacrifices 2 treasures to give them both double strike. Mathieu blocks with the Consecrated Sphinx, and I have no blocks, so I take 2, and Arja makes a treasure. In his post-combat main phase, Arja casts Necrodominance, but I cast an Offer You Can't Refuse in response and counter it. Arja then follows up with a Morbid Opportunist, which is at least some kind of draw engine, and he passes. During his end step, I flash an Enduring Curiosity, and then activate Niko to attempt to make my shards copies until my next end step. Max responds though by throwing the Sword of Body and Mind with Captain America, dealing 1 to Miko, the Curiosity, and the Morbid Opportunists. Because of the Sword of Kaldra, they all get exiled, and we then move to my turn. I find 3 more basics, which is the last of them from land tax, and draw for turn. I play a Plains, and then cast Time Wipe. With the board wipe on the stack, Max activates Lion Sash, exiling Consecrated Sphinx from Mathieu's graveyard. I then cast a Golden Argosy and pass. Max draws, and once more casts Captain America. He moves to combat, and gets to free equip the Sword of Body and Mind onto him, and passes. Mathieu gets Karuga off Esika, drawing 2 cards as it comes in, and then drawing for turn. He plays Kadama of the East Tree, and plays a Volatile Fjord, which lets him put a Rimewood Falls into play from Kadama's trigger. Mathieu then continues by casting Wargate for 0, and goes to find the World Tree from his library. And then plays the Realm Breaker. This allows him to put Mila into play off of Kadama, and after that, he passes. Arja's turn has him playing a Hollow Marauder, and we all discard a card as it comes in. Arja then draws 3 cards off it as well, and he plays a Mountain for turn before casting a Doomed Necromancer. He follows it up with Olivia again, and passes once she resolves. My turn has me recasting Niko, and making 2 shards as it comes in. I then crew the Argosy, and go to combat, and swing it at Arja. Arja takes the hit for 3, and I get to exile Niko until end of turn. My second main phase then has a Cephalid Constable coming in, and I pass, returning Niko on my end step and making 2 more shards. Max draws and casts a Boros Signet for turn, and goes to combat, getting to equip the Sword of Kaldra onto Captain America. He swings Captain America at Mathieu, who chumps with Mila, and Max passes after that. Mechia gets Jin Gitaxias Core Augur off the Prismatic Bridge trigger, which puts Niko Bolas God Pharaoh into play off the Kadama trigger. He then draws her turn and plays a Forest. He sacrifices the Realm Breaker to get his remaining Praetors, and Kadama puts Shouldered Whispering One, Ajani Unyielding, and Tamiyo the Moon Sage into play thanks to the triggers. And because Vorinclex is already in play as they come in, he gets to double all of the Planeswalker's counters. Mechia ultimates Tamiyo, and then upticks Ajani to get an Arcane Signet, and Teferi Hero of Dominaria. Mechia then attempts to cast Teferi, but Max counters it with Ionize, and it goes back to Matt's hand, with the Tamiyo's emblem though. Going to combat, Matt swings at Max, and Max responds with a Galadriel's Dismissal, phasing out all of Mechia's creatures. After combat, Matt upticks Niko Bolas and targets Arja, and he gets Gisa the Hellraiser. With nothing else, he passes. Arja's turn has him cycling a Forgotten Cave to draw a card, and he then plays Queen Marquesa, Long May She Reign, and becomes the Monarch. He follows her up with a Rune Raider, and he goes to combat. He swings Olivia at Mathieu and Queen Marquesa at me, and we both take our hits. Arja then reveals a Grim Hireling to the Rune Raider trigger in his end step, and he gets to draw from being the Monarch, and passes after that. I've got an island for turn, and I cast Supreme Will to look at my top 4. I then play a Curiosity Crafter, and activate Niko to exile it, and make all of my shards token copies of it, and I then move to combat. I swing 2 at Matt, and he takes 6, while I get to draw 20 cards thanks to all of my combined crafter triggers. After that, I return the Curiosity Crafter to play, and pass. Max draws but doesn't untap most of his lands because of Vorinclex being out. He then moves to combat and puts the Conqueror's Flail onto Captain America, swinging him at Mathieu. Mathieu jumps with Gisa. Max casts Teferi's Protection to peace out, and Arja and I's Inevitable Death. Mathieu gets Burning Ruin Demon back with his shoulder trigger, revealing a Sphinx of the Second Sun and Time Wipe, but gets both of them because of Tamiyo's emblem. He then draws her turn. He plays a Reflecting Pool, and casts the Sphinx of the Second Sun, putting Teferi into play from Kadama's trigger. He then ults Teferi immediately, and gets it back with Tamiyo, and repeats it 4 more times. Mathieu then ultimates Ajani, and gets to put 10 +1/+1 counters onto all of his creatures, and 10 loyalty counters onto all of his planeswalkers. He then swings his creatures at Arja and I to kill us. Mathieu then casts a Teferi Master of Time, and upticks the Walker to loot a card. He can't exile of any of Max's permanents since he's phased out, and passes. On Max's upkeep, Mathieu activates Teferi Master of Time again, to loot again, which in turn allows him to exile 5 of Max's permanents. With no real outs, Max knows when he's beat, and scoops it up. This video is brought to you in part by my sponsors. Card Conduit is the easiest way to sell your unused Magic cards. Whether your collection is sorted or not, there's an option for everyone. With a payout averaging 19% higher than just using one buy list, you can rest assured you get the best bang for your buck, and you can get further savings of 10% on your service fees by using my affiliate link down below or the promo code MTGMudsta. 401 Games is Canada's one-stop shop for trading cards, board games, and hobby supplies. With a huge selection of cards and sealed product, first-time buyers can save 5% off their first order by using the code MTGMudsta, and returning shoppers can also use the code GOBLINS5 to save 5% on orders of singles. And Dragon Shield, the strongest sleeves for your strongest decks. You can use the promo code MUDSTA or the affiliate link down below to save 5% on your next order. Game review time. This game is 1 hour, 12 minutes, and 3 seconds. I think the strongest card this game, and the one that did the most, was the Burning Ruin Demon, as it allowed Mathieu to tutor for 4 cards effectively. That, coupled with the fact that his commander just churns out value by giving him free permanents, and being able to activate and resolve the Realm Breaker to get all of his Praetors out, really cemented Matt's win in this game. Other than that, a really cool interaction with my Curiosity Crafter, although I had to be very careful, since if my other tokens connected, I was going to be drawing 10 cards per connecting, which is just too much, as I wouldn't be able to swing for lethal without decking myself. This video wouldn't be possible without the help from my sponsors, but it definitely wouldn't be possible without the help from you, the viewers, and my patrons. So I just want to say thank you for watching, and to remember, friends are just opponents you haven't eliminated yet.